Well, it says I'm live here, but when I go to YouTube, I don't see it live. So I'm just trying to figure out if I'm live. And I also realized I need to plug in my computer. And now all of you who are watching who are not joining the live, but perhaps just watching the video afterwards, are having to listen to me say that I don't know if I'm live. One of these days, I didn't mean to do that. One of these days, I will not just figure out the technology, but feel confident and comfortable in it. And then, of course, as soon as I feel confident and comfortable in it, it's going to change. And I'll have to learn something new. But that's okay. Lifelong learning. Problem is that when I go to YouTube, I should see it there live. But you know what? I'm just going to trust that it is recording and it's live and that you're out there. Only thing about this I don't like is that when it is live, I can't see if anybody else is there. I can't see comments. All right, folks, it is 4:59 Eastern Time, and I'm just going to wait for about 1 more minute before I start this officially. I suppose, unfortunately, all of you who are just watching the video at your own leisurely time are now having to watch this part. So ideally, I suppose I should edit this out. These live events are interesting and have taught me that I don't struggle with talking even just to myself like this, sort of babbling. It's really quite a strange experience because I'm just talking to the screen, right? To the little green dot. I don't know. Any of you out there, it's amazing. But this is part of what we do to do what we do, to fulfill our purpose in life, which is connected to the theme of this month, which is what we're going to talk about in just a moment. We're going to talk about Chapter 1 of Onward. I'm going to talk about it because I'm having a monologue here, unless, of course, you write comments in the comment section, and then perhaps I can respond to those. Questions, comments, we can see those. So, I am in Philadelphia and finished the first day of a 2-day Art of Coaching workshop. I'm really enjoying this city, I have to say. I'd never been here, had no idea what to expect really, just knew that it was close to New York. And on the East Coast, I knew the historical context, but I really enjoyed I've been here 2 days now, really enjoyed my time in Philadelphia. So, okay, maybe I'm not on live. Hold on a second. Maybe I should stop because I'm just babbling. But is this live? Why isn't this live? I'm confused. Hello? Thank you, Jessie. See, I have people who help me. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Every time I use this video platform, it looks different to me. So this is, I'm just getting used to it. All right, We are here to talk about emotional resilience, and I'm really excited that you are joining me, or you have joined me, and perhaps you just fast forwarded through that beginning part. Now we're going to get into Onward Chapter One. So Onward has been out for just over a month now, and I am so excited that it's June because I wrote this book from the very beginning. I envisioned it being something that educators would engage with over the course of a year because it takes a while to cultivate resilience. This is not just a book that you can read in a few weeks and then sort of feel like, okay, I got that. I mean, I do hope people will feel so compelled by the book that you won't want to put it down and you want to just keep reading. But to really take in the resilience strategies, I envision people reading it over the course of a year, and the workbook that goes along with it is definitely meant to be slowly engaged in and digested, because Onward is anchored in 12 habits of resilient educators. And those 12 habits I aligned with the cycle and the rhythms of the school year. Those are, for me, felt really unique in the way that we experience the school year. I've been in education 25 years, and to me, this is the end of the year. And when I talk to non-educator friends and I say, well, the year is ending, they sort of give me that confused. And I say, the school year, right? And then September, the year is beginning. And the cycle of the year and the rhythms and the emotional cycle has a lot for us to think about and to mine and to actually work with to build our resilience. So chapter 1 of Onward focuses on the habit of knowing yourself. And then each chapter, each month, also focuses on a disposition. And a disposition is sort of a way of being, an attitude, an emotional state. And the disposition for the month of June is purposefulness. So when I wrote this and I conceptualized the first month of the book, I really imagined educators ending the school year and beginning the summer by doing a deep dive into who we are. And both reflecting on the previous year and how who we are impacted our experience of teaching or leading in that year, as well as thinking about how who we are affects who we could be in the following school year. So right now I am I'm so thrilled when I hear from people or see on social media that people are diving into Onward and taking up the habit of the month of knowing yourself. So I want to engage you in an activity right now. I want you to think about, or if you want to grab a pen and a piece of paper to jot down some notes on what triggers you. You could think what triggers you professionally within your work context, at school, in your organization. You could also think more broadly, what triggers you personally? What triggers you in colleagues? What kind of things get under your skin, irritate you? Could be everything from like people who don't respond to your emails to educators who say things like, well, these kids can't. So take a moment and think of some of your triggers. I really want to encourage you to keep a running list of your triggers. When you notice them, jot them down. Start looking for trends and patterns. Sometimes we can feel uncomfortable by our triggers, like we hate that we get triggered. But what I want to encourage you to do, and this is about knowing yourself, is to explore what's below those triggers. And that might allow you to shift your relationship to them. With self-knowledge, you can explore your triggers and uncover what is below them that might actually be a source of strength or energy or help you gain clarity. Your triggers might reflect, for example, a core value. So lately, I've been realizing how triggered I get by people who I perceive to be fake. I don't trust what they're saying. Maybe they're really, I don't know, maybe they seem like they're really warm and welcoming, but I can just feel something that feels not real, not true, that feels fake or inauthentic. And what I realized when I used that framing of like they just feel inauthentic is that I really value authenticity. I really value people showing up as their full selves. Even if they're showing up as like a grumpy self, it's still a full self. It's still a part of who they really are. And so that's a way that I've been able to reframe my triggers. And I still feel triggered sometimes by inauthenticity. But what I can say to myself is, yeah, you're triggered by people who you perceive as being fake, but really you value authenticity. It helps me reframe and know myself better and understand where that's coming from. And then not, lapse into the judgment about why am I judging people? Why do I get so triggered by people who... It is just a way for deeper knowledge and understanding. So I want to jump back for just a moment to why I started with this topic and anchoring it in June. And I mentioned a little bit about this already. But knowing yourself is foundational for all the other habits in the book. And as I said, in June, you have an opportunity as you're transitioning out of this year to reflect on this year and what went well and where you felt joyful or content or where you felt your work was meaningful and purposeful, where you felt connections with other people, and to reflect on the moments that didn't feel so good, where you felt disconnected or where you were unhappy. There's an opportunity now for us to take that reflection and put it into a practice or for it to find meaning for the next school year. So let me just take a moment to define what I think about when I think about self-knowledge. Knowing yourself includes knowing your values, knowing your personality. I am a really big fan of the Myers-Briggs type indicator. I think it offers us incredible insight into who we are and our personality types, particularly our tendency towards introversion or extroversion, but also how we like to organize our internal and external world. So I always encourage people to take the Myers-Briggs test. There's other tests also that you can take that are kind of fun that help you gain insight into yourself. I even include in that your astrological sign. I think all of these different ways of organizing who we are in the world just help us gain insight. So it's not that we have to live by the findings, by our personality type or by our astrological sign or our love language. It's just, it gives us more information, something else to chew on, some other way, some other lens to view ourselves, perhaps some other insight into who we are. And then, I always say take it or leave it. If it feels like it resonates and it gives you insight, then take it. I'm a Sagittarius and I love to travel. I love it. I'm obsessed with traveling. And I always love to use that fact that I'm a Sagittarius. And apparently, according to astrology, Sagittarians love to travel. So it just allows me to kind of justify my travel obsession. If something helps you gain insight into yourself and it feels like it resonates, then explore it. Continue to do so. Another aspect of yourself that's really essential to understand is your socio-political identity. who you are in the world, as expressed through your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your religion, your class background, your sexual orientation, all of those identity markers. It's essential to understand how our socio-political identity plays out in the world and how it affects our life. Here's another thing that is absolutely essential. I know I keep saying this is essential and that's essential, but this is essential too, for you to understand about yourself and to have self-knowledge, is knowing your strengths and your aptitudes. So let me ask you this. What do you love to do? What do other people tell you you're just naturally good at, you're so good at? What comes easy to you? And what would it be like if you could do more of those things that come easy to you, that are natural to you, that you loved doing when you were a child? What if you could do more of those things in your life, as part of your work even? What might be possible? What might that be like? We spend so much time trying to get better at the things that we struggle with. But what if we could take all that energy that we devote to the things that we struggle with, that we devote to trying to get better at something, and transfer it to what we're already doing well? What could be possible? I've been thinking about this a lot. I've really been paying attention to what I love doing, what gives me energy. My mom used to tell me stories about me when I was a little kid, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and how she'd say I would spend hours and hours in my room by myself working on projects, usually art projects. And she'd think, or she'd say, "Where's Elena?" And she'd go and she'd find me still in my bedroom working on my projects. And she always said I was such an easy toddler, preschooler, because I was just so focused on my projects. And I remember that feeling of being so engrossed in something and just being in my room alone. I never felt lonely. I just loved doing my art projects, things I was making or building. And still today, I love my projects. I love writing. I love being alone and writing for hours and hours. I lose track of time. It's just the best feeling. I love having big projects that I work on and thinking about the scope and the dimensions, and then I love implementing them. And that's what writing is for me. That's where the books come from. And I love that. And I think about I've written now 4 books really in 5 or 6 years, but what would be possible if I took even more energy and put it there, in that place, in that skill set, those aptitudes that loves doing big projects? It's just something I'm thinking about. But it is the end of the year, and this is an optimal time to think about what you love doing that you could do perhaps more of next year, for you to consider if you could make a change in your work or in your life. Maybe it's not even a really big change. So for example, I started my teaching career teaching 2nd grade, and I loved my students, but I also found it really challenging to teach that many subjects. And I felt like for me to understand that many content subjects really well, and then to be able to deliver engaging and clear instruction on those subjects I found it really hard. And after teaching for 5 years, I became a 6th grade humanities teacher. And I finally felt like I was in the right field of teaching. I thrived. I loved teaching history. I'd always wanted to teach history. And it was just like I could just focus on history and reading and writing. And it was so rewarding. And I felt like I could finally teach for a long time. So those are just a couple of areas in which we could do more exploration, more reflection, more inquiry into ourselves to gain this deeper understanding that can then help us think about this disposition of purposefulness. What is our purpose in life? When we are working from what we sense as our purpose in life, we have more energy. We have more ability to manage challenges and to deal with setbacks because we can see how everything we're doing is connected to and anchored in our purpose. With self-knowledge comes that clarity. And so every day when you stumble and fall, which you will, we do every day, but when we're anchored in purpose, when we can understand ourselves, when we can understand, for example, that, well, that experience was really hard for me or more draining because I'm an introvert and I thrive when I'm one-on-one with people or when I'm alone. And so it helps us to relieve to be more compassionate to ourselves, to relieve the sense of sort of like the beating ourselves up that we do, the I should be better. Self-knowledge for me as an introvert, I can say, yeah, I'm exhausted by that day because I'm an introvert. It just wipes me out. And now I can rest and recharge and I'll be ready for tomorrow's event. Now with self-knowledge that I'm an introvert and I need to recharge after I spend all day presenting to 100 plus people, I can understand that I have to decline invitations to go out to dinner after presenting all day because I just need to be alone and I need to be with my Netflix and I need to recharge, which I'll do. And even doing this feels, this doesn't feel draining, and it helps me think about, that's right, because for me as an introvert, one-on-one or small groups can energize, but large groups also drain. We can just take the knowledge and find the application. So I would love to know if anybody has any questions about Chapter 1 and self-knowledge. I'm a little bit stumped because I can't see the question thing on YouTube, which is where I am. But maybe if there's questions, then Jessie, who is my fantastic teammate, who I know is live, can see those and text them to me. So while I'm giving her a moment to scan, perhaps give you a moment to put your questions into the comments box, then I will just tell you about a couple other things for those of you. Thank you, Jessie. For those of you who are listening in, maybe don't have any questions. I just hope that that means that you've got Onward and you're starting to dig into it, or you're about to, and you're like, I'm not going to ask questions because I'm going to read the book first. By the way, Onward is now available on Audible. It's an audiobook. It was recorded. I have to say, I've not yet heard it. I did hear the narrator, and she was fantastic. I heard her reading something else, but it is an audiobook now. So I don't know. I love audiobooks. I have a lot of books for which I have both the audiobook and the hard book because I like to write and things, but that is out there in case you also know other people who might be interested. So that was one of the things I wanted to remember to tell you. Also, just in case you don't know, you've got to check out our website, onwardthebook.com, where we have lots of new content going up every day, things that you can download, audio meditations for you to listen to, and so much more. And there's new content there every day. We also have a Facebook page. The easiest way for you to find that is just to go to the website and then click on the links. And do be on the lookout for the Art of Coaching Annual Conference registration, which is going to go live probably this week or next week. And that conference will take place next February 20th to 22nd, or 19th to 22nd. at the Asilomar Conference Center in Monterey Bay, California. Beautiful location, right on the ocean. And that will be another opportunity for you to go deeper into resilience, both your own resilience as well as how to coach resilience in others. So if you are one of these people who coaches other people or supports other people, there are so many activities in the workbook that you can use with clients, that you can use with new clients in the beginning of the year, that you can use as you bring a faculty back together or a team back together in the fall. These are just ideal beginning of the year activities to get to know each other. I have to say, I've recently been using the love languages more with people, which you can also find the link to that on the website. Just go there and Google love languages if you don't know it already. And that's been really fun to help people talk about how they like to be appreciated and recognized for each other. So this chat will be almost monthly. If you go to onwardthebook.com, then you are going to find our events calendar. Jenna, thank you for asking that question because it was something that I was trying to remember to let you know. The events calendar will tell you if these are live monthly. In July, I'm going to be posting a video talking about the key points of Onward because I'm not going to be live because on July 9th, I'm going to be in Johannesburg, South Africa. And so because of the time difference, I decided it would just be much easier if I posted a video. August, I will be live talking about Chapter 3, which is a really fun chapter, and that'll be August 13th. So please check out the website. There was another question asked about finding a study group for the book. Barbara Hall, thank you for asking that question, the study group for the book. That is something that we are going to attempt to facilitate, some groups coming together on Facebook. The other thing that I've seen people doing on social media is putting out a question or a request. Does anybody want to get together virtually? A lot of people seem to be doing it virtually and talk about the book. And if there will be a study guide for it, that's the workbook. So the accompanying workbook has one activity for every day of the year. That is 365 activities for the entire calendar year that go along with the book. Onward also embedded within the main text, there are reflection questions, and so those would be great to use in a book group or discussion. And then to go through the activities and talk about them together. So you might form a group and then decide that you're all going to do a select group of activities and that you agree to talk about those when you come back together. Or maybe you'll do all of them for the month, and then when you come back together to talk about them, maybe weekly or every other week, you'll talk about which of those activities had the biggest impact on you. So those are my suggestions. But between Onward, the book, and the workbook, there is a lot there for you to facilitate your own discussions. Now, that said, I still want to invite you and encourage you to come to the workshops that I'm going to be doing and that my teammate Janet Baird will also be doing on the book and on resilience, because what we do is create an experience for you to go deep into your own reflection and your own learning. And that, I know, based on what I've heard from thousands of people who've come to my workshops, is a transformational experience. And so do check out the dates we already have determined, and we're going to be posting more very soon so that you can have an opportunity to come and learn with us in person and dive deep into this. So thank you so much for being here this evening. This is really kind of fun to do, even though I can't see any of you, and it's just knowing that people are out there and that we are diving into this conversation about emotions and resilience as educators just feels like a huge relief to me. It's like, finally, we're talking about this. I've been thinking about resilience unconsciously or consciously or not for 25 years since I began my career as an educator, thinking about how can I do this work? It's so emotionally taxing and so wonderful and so meaningful. And this is my purpose. How can we do this? And for so many years, I yearned for people with whom I could have these conversations about resilience, about the emotional highs and lows and the exhaustion, the taxation, and then the joys. And now I feel like I have people. And so thank you for being a part of my community, and I hope I'll see you for the next live event, which is in August. But do check out the July video, which will be posted on July 9th. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful end of your school year. Bye.